On our play for this week, how Sony single-handedly destroyed Helldivers 2. Oh my gosh. Is Xbox hiding something with their Call of Duty? I mean, their direct or their redacted direct after their Xbox Game Showcase in June? Batman Arkham is back, but no one is happy. Shadow of the Erdtree DLC may be it for Elden Ring, but is there a tease for more? I said me in my little show notes. Oh my gosh. Words, boy. I tell you what. All this and more on season 8, episode 18 of Press X to Start Gamers Digest. I should do the whole thing over again, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to let it roll because that's how it is.
Fuck it, do it live.
Right? What's up, everyone? I'm your host, DJ, a.k.a. Sexy Bad Choices, a.k.a. Jeez. Yo, I got it. The whole Kendrick versus Drake thing, it's been pretty one-sided at this point. I'm joined by
Sean MF Ross.
What does the MF stand for?
They not like us.
Exactly. Okay, let's take a quick second just to talk about that. Actually, you know, we'll do it as number one. We're gonna do it as number one for the games thing. This is Press X to Start Gamers Digest, a video podcasting us the most important gaming news from this past week into an hour-long meal just for you. We are live on YouTube every Sunday when we can because life is hard. But Sean,
but listening to us is easy.
Yes, it is. Don't forget to support us by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and hit the notification bell. If you are listening, we would greatly appreciate you leaving us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, anywhere you see fit to leave us a review. Do it there, but just let us know so we can actually see it. If you want, you can join our conversation by joining our Discord at pressx2start.com/Discord. All right. As I said earlier, we're going to get into the gaming news, but we got to at least just mention the whole Kendrick versus Drake thing. So if you're not aware, if you've been living under a rock, Kendrick was featured on what, Future, right?
Future and Metro Boomin's "We Don't Trust You" album on the song.
Yeah, and the whole thing jumped off from Drake or Kendrick saying that it's not Big Three, it's Big Me, and then that just kind of started this beef. J. Cole jumped in.
Yes, it was a competitive thing again, and Drake got his feelings hurt again, just like with the Control verse back in 20-odd, whatever that was.
Right. Essentially, Drake took the bait, and Kendrick was waiting, capital W, waiting for this. J. Cole said some stuff, but he was like, you know what? This ain't for me. And you know what?
He said, them niggas are shooting outside. My bad. I'm not gonna close this door.
He said, I wasn't built for all of this. I just like putting words together and making music. So yeah, so that started off this whole thing. I look, go online. It's literally everywhere. I couldn't escape it from my timeline, even if I wanted to. I didn't want to. I wanted to see all of this. This is great.
Yo,
and right now,
it has such far-reaching reach that Moist Critical, aka Penguin Zero, aka Charlie, made a video on it. Like, he's like, I know my opinion doesn't matter, but I gotta comment on this. Like, literally,
yes,
everyone is.
Yeah, man. Like, literally everyone on my timeline that like they're doing different content that's not music content. They're all just weighing in on this because this is literal history happening between
one for the ages.
Yeah, exactly. Like Drake is, you know, for as much as you don't like him, for as much as he's an apparent pedophile, alleged, I guess we'll say. Alleged, yeah. You know, he's number one. Like, his music is club bangers, and then on the other side we have Kendrick, who's like a Pulitzer winner, like a phenomenal artist at stringing words together, is just gunning for Drake in the most hateful way.
As somebody said, yes, Drake releases almost yearly, every 6 months at this point. And they still consider Kendrick to be in the quote-unquote Big Three, even though he's only released 4 albums in the past.
Yeah.
However many years.
Yeah.
Quality.
But every time he drops something, everyone stops and listens. So I on my social feeds, I had coined the term I Kendrick you, which is meaning that you want someone to have their very worst day every day. You don't want them to have any joy in their life, only pain and suffering. All right. That's that. Check out the diss track. It'll probably take you like, 30 minutes to listen to the whole thing that happened, but you're gonna be absorbed for this for the next like 2 weeks or so, because it's insane. And there might be more because we don't know what Kendrick has
My man
left
got a
for
full
us.
EP just cocked and ready to go.
Yeah, right.
Loaded.
All right. Number 1 in the gaming news. Helldivers 2 has been pulled from Steam in 170 countries without PSN access, while Valve ignores its own policy to issue refunds for players with over 100 hours. This comes to us from GamesRadar by way of that's not Concern. So, as the title suggests, there has been just a crazy debacle that's been happening with Helldivers 2 and Sony. So essentially, to take a step back, Sony had announced that all Helldivers 2 PC players would soon need to link an active PlayStation Network account or lose access to the game. A mandate that was once a simple option at launch and has since led to thousands of negative user reviews hitting the once widely popular shooter. So yeah, it's important to note that this is a Sony mandate. This is not PlayStation necessarily saying this thing. Sony Divers numbers and seeing that there's a ton of people. There's more people playing on PC than there are on PlayStation. And Sony's looking at that number and saying like, "Oh, we need to convert at least a good portion of these PC players into our Sony or into our PlayStation ecosystem." And this is just such a bonehead move where it's just like, if you look at the money, you're like, "Oh, this is a great idea." But if you just look at the actual ecosystem and thinking about what you're doing, it's like this is going to alienate so many people. And then even when this happened, of course, the gamers are pointing their ire towards Arrowhead, which are the creators of Helldivers 2. And the Helldivers 2 community manager had assured the people in countries without PSN coverage, because not everywhere has access to PSN. They assured those players that the game would not be blocked. But they only know what they know, and they didn't realize that something like this was going to happen. So those the countries that didn't have PSN access pulled the Helldivers 2 game from their Steam store, and
I ain't never seen somebody thrown under the bus so fast,
bro. Like,
so continue.
Man, it is insane how it's insane how Sony.
That? You didn't include that. That's too new. That's too new. I just threw it in a news source. So they said this is Sony's decision, not ours.
Yeah,
why it has to be pulled out of the stores.
Oh,
yes. Yeah, that was too recent. You didn't catch when I posted that.
No, I missed that one. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So like, yeah, this is literally Sony looking at the success of Helldivers 2 and thinking, no, we want more money from this. We want because I think the idea is that there's so many people who are actually purchasing DLC for Helldivers 2. And of course, you purchase DLC with credit card information or whatever. If you tie that credit card to a PlayStation account, that is only a win for Sony, because that means that in the future, it's only going to be a one button press for you to buy something from the PlayStation Store, because you already have that stuff set up.
They're removing friction from the purchases.
Exactly. And it's just that okay. Also to note that something that wasn't, I guess, readily clear, but was actually said, was that this whole linking your PSN to your Steam to actually play Helldivers 2 was a thing that was supposed to happen from the beginning. But there was a technical bug or something. So this period was just a temporary period of you can just play Helldivers 2 without using the PSN. So they're just kind of going back to like, okay, well, we need these people to be signed in. Sony's reasoning for this, and it's not necessarily a bad reasoning. Their reasoning is that this will help them be better at banning people, be better at blocking people, and essentially protecting their consumers. But it just
But
doesn't
can you
feel.
grief people in this game, or
Yeah, like because like there's also people that are hacking and stuff as well. So
okay?
if all those people are actually tied to a PSN account, then Sony could better track them because at this point they're only left to, I guess, like Arrowhead developers are only able to really track these people. I guess they can work through Steam, but like
Yeah.
Steam has, billions of users at this point. So so yeah, like on that side, it makes sense why they would do this, but that side kind of feels like the smaller side compared to the fact that now this game is removed from 170 different countries. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
And again, you can look at it and be like, well, it's 170 different countries, but the majority of the users are probably, North America, UK, or Europe, Japan, like the bigger territories kind of thing. And those are most likely fine. But yeah, anyways, it still sucks. This is just a bad move that it's just a money move. It's just a money move and it sucks. You got anything?
Um, I mean, I guess I get Sony's reasoning, but I mean, they're shooting themselves in the foot with this.
They absolutely are. They
They
absolutely
need to
are.
either expand into those regions that don't have it in order to maintain customers. Like,
Yeah, man.
this just ain't a good look of good faith.
Exactly. Exactly. And then on top of that, there was the idea that like, oh, maybe PlayStation might acquire Arrowhead because they're doing so well, and this is technically a Sony exclusive game, but like this only just creates bad blood between PlayStation and Arrowhead because, as you said, like when this first kicks off, everyone is dropping negative Steam reviews for Helldivers 2 and just looks really bad on Helldivers 2. And it's just like it's not their fault. It's just like yeah, it's just not their fault. So yeah. We'll see what will happen from there. But Helldivers 2 is still a fantastic game if you can play it. Enjoy it with your time with it while you still have it, I guess, unless Sony does something else stupid. Number 2. The Xbox Game Showcase airs June 9th, followed by a redacted direct. This comes to us from The Verge by way of Tom Warren. So yes, Microsoft made it official that they're having their Xbox Game Showcase June 9th, followed by a redacted direct. So when we posted, I forget exactly who posted this in our Discord chat, but I was like, oh, I wonder what that direct is, and then like literally like 5 or 6 minutes later, everyone's like, oh, it's Call of Duty, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, right, Black Ops, it does look like that. There's White House in the background. Okay, I get it. So the question is like, why would you go through and just redact this stuff when it's obvious that it's a Call of Duty thing?
To be a little mysterious, to be cool. I mean, it's marketing.
Yeah, like, and
Look,
that's
DJ,
exactly where I'm at. I think like
you just
they're
made
just
the artwork. You're not a monitor, right? You're not a marketer.
right.
You just do your thing and you let them do theirs, all right? Just
That's true. That's true. And I think that's exactly like what's happening here. It's just I don't think there's going to be anything really crazy about this or really like oh
yeah,
like it's a surprise. It's not actually what you think it is. I think it is just Black Ops and it's just playing off of the fact that Black Ops is just like covert operations. It's like redacted
yeah.
stuff, so they're just redacting this direct. Yeah, so uh you know what? Like, I think it's easy to be like, Xbox, what are you doing? That's a stupid idea. Just show us what it is because it's Call of Duty and we all just know what Call of Duty is and what X, Y, and Z, whatever. But like, I appreciate them just kind of being a little coy with this. So
Yeah.
that's fine. Um, the other thing to note from this article is that along with the Xbox, along with the Call of Duty Redacted Direct. This will be the first Xbox showcase featuring games across Activision Blizzard, Bethesda, and Microsoft Xbox Game Studios. It is understood that Microsoft is currently planning to announce a new Gears of War game during the show. We actually talked about that way earlier this year. The showcase will also include a number of release dates from upcoming Xbox games like Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, Avowed, Indiana Jones, and The Great Circle. Indiana Jones and The Great Circle. We'll likely get dates on when the big Shattered Space expansion is coming to Starfield, which is weird because I thought that was the big update that happened recently, but I guess not. I don't know. I don't play Starfield, so I don't know. Todd Howard recently revealed it's due in the fall. And I understand Bethesda is currently targeting September. Activision is targeting the next Call of Duty for late October, with Avowed and Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 likely to follow in November and Indiana Jones in December. If that is true, this is going to be a jam-packed year for Xbox gamers, and that's awesome. Like, it is very smart and very well timed that Xbox is literally striking while PlayStation said, like, hey, look, we're not going to have any real big first-party stuff happening this year. And it looks like Xbox is just kind of stacking the games up to like really capitalize on this lack of PlayStation games. Although, that is to say, we are supposed to be getting a showcase for PlayStation State of Play or a like PlayStation Showcase late May, I think. And because we don't really know what PlayStation has up its sleeve for this year in terms of releasing any games, other than the games that it's released, like Stellar Blade and X, Y, and Z, we could see some stuff. Because from my memory, I think we're supposed to get Concord, that game that we've only seen a ship as a trailer for. I think it's supposed to be coming out this year. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. It's not actually on the in our docket, but it's possible we'll get a Resident Evil 9 thing as well, because there's rumors that that's supposed to be coming this year and be showing quote unquote soon. So we'll see. Yeah, okay. Actually, there's another little Black Ops tidbit revealed that happened. So this comes from us from Insider Gaming by way of Tom Henderson. So not Warren, but Henderson. They're two different people. Essentially, we're supposed to be getting a Black Ops reveal, probably happening within Call of Duty, where they just show a trailer for the game. So that's pretty much it. There is a blueprint
that has. If they did a thing like what they did in DMZ for the zombie stuff. If you remember how they had that mission where everybody got the, it was a server-wide mission. That'd be pretty cool. Kind of. They've been learning from Fortnite.
Yeah. I could totally see them doing it. It's just like, why wouldn't they do that? Like, that's like the perfect kind of synergy between the games. Like, and if they're actually going to be doing the whole, it's like the Call of Duty launcher where the games just launch off of the same thing. They just update the little thumbnail and such. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. They better do that, actually. Now I'm expecting them to do that.
I didn't mean to get your hopes up.
But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with the future of Call of Duty and the shooty games. All right. Number 3. The next Batman Arkham game is a MetaQuest exclusive. Before I get into this, Sean, how do you feel about this?
What are y'all doing with this property, man? Why is this the only thing that exists for DC? Granted, I know they're not developing it, but like,
yeah. Okay.
But I mean, I guess it's kind of like Marvel overusing Spider-Man. So I mean, it is what it is.
No, is Marvel or Sony? You mean?
I'm just talking about comic book properties just getting overused, just beaten into the ground. There are other things.
Yes. It's the whole, this thing made money for us. Let's make more of that to make more money. And just like, that's not really how it should work, guys. So yes, the next Batman Arkham game is a MetaQuest exclusive. It's going to be developed by Iron Man VR studio Camouflage, which Iron Man VR was a very good VR game. And it made a lot of people motion sick because you are flying like Iron Man with your hands and you're having to do all this adjustments and stuff while flying. But at least for me, like once I got adjusted to that, like I enjoyed the experience. I didn't buy the full game because like, all right, well, I know I'm not gonna sit there and like play and beat this thing, but the demo that I played was a good demo. So Batman Arkham Shadow will launch on MetaQuest 3 later in 2024. This comes to us from Ash Parrish. I mean, there's not too much to be said about this other than it is a game that is a Batman game that is similar to the detective VR experience that they had before, but I think this is going to be a bit more flushed out. Yeah, so they'll light on the actual gameplay features. The trailer, there's a trailer, you can watch the trailer. I should put the trailer up, but I don't got the time. The trailer suggests a big part of the game will likely include a lot of glide through Gotham traversal sections that made Batman Arkham City so damn cool. Meta also hasn't shared who will be voicing Batman. Kevin Conroy, the voice actor best known for his iconic performance as the Caped Crusader, passed away in 2022, RIP, but not before voicing Batman in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. I'm not really a Batman fan. Also don't have the MetaQuest, so I'm completely out of this right here. Yeah, that's true. It is not for us either. I hope it does well, so you guys can get a actual Batman Arkham game that is like Batman focused and good. I know Kill the Justice League. There's people who are defending that game saying it's good, but you know it's still not really a Batman game. So we'll see what happens with that. Number 4, Shadow of the Erdtree, the first and last Elden Ring DLC from FromSoftware boss Hidetaka Miyazaki.
That H name.
Wait, Hidetaka. Is that his first name? I didn't think that was his first name.
As much Hidetaka, as much anime as you watch, man, you can't.
I know, that's so weird. Anyways, yeah, this comes to us from IGN by way of wait a minute. There it is. By way of, oh my gosh, can you load, please? My internet is embarrassing me. Ryan Dinsdale. So, as it suggests that this DLC will be the first and last DLC from Elden Ring developers, which is not surprising because they have done stuff like this before. I think Bloodborne has had it only had one DLC, but apparently the DLC was fantastic. I didn't play Bloodborne because that game was not for me. But sucks. Hey, no, I played the game. I was just like, there's nothing about this game that I love.
How to switch to weapon forms.
I switched my weapon 3 times. Everything just looked dirty. I'm like, oh, okay. Everybody just need a bath in that game, not with blood, because that was just a weird thing. So yeah, like, okay, so Shadow of the Erdtree will launch June 21, 2024. I just misread that. Okay, Shadow of the Erdtree, which launches June 21, 2024, may not be fans' final taste of the lands between. However, as Miyazaki didn't shut down the possibility of a full sequel. When asked about the future of the franchise, he commented that FromSoftware deliberately leaves the end of its games open to potential sequels, and it seems Elden Ring will be no exception. So that's good to hear. Like, we could possibly get a sequel in this game, but they are such artists that it depends on if they can create a story. Much like how Breath of the Wild, like that game ended, there was not really any hints of a sequel, and they're just like, yeah, we're kind of done with this game. We give you a DLC unless we have a reason to continue the story further. They had a reason. Also, like Last of Us. So there's a
I
trend.
mean,
Like these
typically most Zelda games didn't have a sequel anyway. I think only one had
exactly.
like a super direct sequel. So I mean,
Right.
I would understand it with Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Elden Ring may or may not have a sequel, depending on. I don't know. It all seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah. Like, cause like Elden Ring was their first like giant open world game. Like, I think, the question is, do they make another giant open world game? Like Elden Ring took a long time for them to build.
Yeah,
It was their first open world game, but and there's things they learned from it to probably make the next game that they build,
there's
if
things
open
people
world.
can learn from them,
Yeah,
even though it was
people
their
are still
first.
learning from that game. But like, it's one of those things where it's just like, do they make a sequel? I think it's easy money for them to make a sequel, but it's also easy money for them to make a Bloodborne sequel, and they haven't made a Bloodborne sequel, so it's just like,
Well, that's
I don't know what they're
because
gonna
they
do.
have to work with Sony and all that good stuff. Granted, I don't
Mm,
think they have any bad blood with Sony, but Sony owns the Bloodborne property. That's why
yeah, right. That's a good point. Yeah,
they
yeah.
were
Actually, you know
already
what?
working on Elden Ring, so they can't just. As we've seen, Elden Ring was a massive game. So where were they going to find the time to work on Bloodborne 2 or
That's a
Bloodborne
good point.
Remastered?
That's a very good point. Yeah, you know what? You're probably right in terms of where those dates line up in terms of starting Elden Ring and
Yeah,
Bloodborne finishing and so
and
on
they
and
were
so forth.
already crunching somewhat to get Elden Ring out. So like, there was
Yeah,
literally no time for.
yeah, yeah. And then like other games like Sekiro,
Hmm.
I think just Sekiro, like that doesn't have a
Yeah,
sequel either. So they're not necessarily like structured to always do a sequel to their games. So yeah, we'll
and then
see.
they
We'll
and
see
then
what
they came
happens.
out with the damn game Armored Core. Like they were just fucking busy.
That's true. That's true. So yeah, will Armored Core 6 get a sequel? I don't know. It whatever. We don't have to discuss that. Yes. Okay. Before we jump into the whole Final Fantasy VII Rebirth sales not really being all that great, but okay at the same time. Hey, you subscribe to the channel. We're doing great. Let us know we're doing great by just hitting the like button. Just hit. Nope. It's over here. It's over here. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. And then, nope, over here. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. That's all you gotta do. Like, you gotta do other stuff, but just do that stuff first. And then once you do that, hit the notification bell as well. That's important. If you're listening to us and you're not seeing any of that, please leave us a review. Apple
Mm.
Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, your best friend's phone, and just tell them about the podcast. It's easy. It's real easy. Just say the words. So yes, do that. I greatly appreciate it. All right. Number 5. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth sales are fine, but it's no Dragon's Dogma 2. This comes to us from IGN by way of. Wait a minute, I'm scrolling up. Rebecca Valentine. So, essentially, we got the Sarkana reports for March, which is like more than a month ago. I was looking through this and I was like, oh, this is kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. And I was like, oh wait, this is in March when Dragon's Dogma 2 came out. And it's like, okay. So, where is this? Where I just lost my place. Oh no, I lost my place, guys. Oh no. Oh dear. Oh dear. So yes, as the report suggests, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth sales are okay, but
Mm.
it is very important to compare the sales of Rebirth with the sales of Remake in the context of Remake came out during the pandemic, and this was the first part of Final Fantasy VII, which is literally one of the games of ever, like the one of the best games ever for a lot of people and in a lot of different age range. So it's really impossible task to compare the Rebirth sales with Remake sales. And I think with that context, it's just like, yeah, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is selling fine. It's not selling better than Dragon's Dogma 2, but there's a lot of reasons for that. And hey, I'm a Dragon's Dogma 2 super fan, I guess, at this point. I have Rebirth. I haven't played Rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna play it eventually. I'm actually playing something else I'll talk about in what we've been playing. But when it comes down to it, yes, Rebirth is just not selling as well as Square Enix hoped. But the other part of that is that Final Fantasy Remake came out at the PS. Final Fantasy Remake didn't that come out for PS4 or was that strictly PS4?
End of lifetime, and then they did a remake, Reloaded, whatever the hell it was called.
For PS5, that right. Yeah. So that came out at the tail end of the PS4 generation, where it had as many people buying that game as humanly possible. Yeah. So like, and it was the pandemic, so it was literally the best time to release a game in any realm, and that's when they dropped it, and it did super crazy great. Like, yeah. And then you're looking at Rebirth, like this is
that was the name of the upgrade.
Say what?
Intergrade was the name of the upgrade when it just popped into my head.
You're right. Yeah, it had Yuffie in the weird looking thing.
Yeah, Luffy. Oh shit, go play it.
Yeah. Okay. The Straw Hats. Wait a minute.
Yeah, no, you can't compare any game's sales to whatever happened during the pandemic. That was an anomaly. And if the talking heads at the top don't understand that, then I don't know what to tell them.
Exactly.
Throw your money into a fire pit.
And again, it's just we see this time and time again where like they have a basic understanding of it, but they don't have an in-depth understanding of it to the point where they don't freak out. Because literally the next story from this just talk about like, yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2 is doing really well. Like a lot of people it had a lot of steam going behind it because it was a game that a lot of people clamored for. Apparently, I didn't realize that there's this many people. I was one of those people. I didn't even realize how big it was. And like it did really well. It's a really good game. You just have to put the time into it. I compare it sort of to like an Elden Ring where it will push back on you a lot. But if you get accustomed to it and you just work within that game, you learn its rules, you'll have a good time. But back to the whole Final Fantasy thing. It like I'm just gonna jump to the next story because the next story kind of is just like the next steps for Square Enix in terms of what they're gonna do now that Final Fantasy Rebirth is not doing as well as they quote unquote hoped it would. So this comes to us from where is it? Okay. Yeah, IGN Wesleyan Pool. The title is a Final Fantasy VII maker. Square Enix takes 140 million hit in content abandonment losses as it revised game pipeline. So essentially, what's happening now is this is just in my thoughts. This is just the result, the pulling back from investing so much money from the 2020 pandemic, right? So now Square Enix is saying that they are essentially just going to lose out on 140 million in development costs because they are going to now pull back and be more selective and focused in the allocation of development resources. And as a result of the close examination of its development pipeline with this in mind, is taking the multi-million dollar loss, which is good. Like they like last year or so, they released a bunch of games that was published by Square Enix that no one really cared about and didn't do well. And everyone's just like, why are you doing this? There's rumors that they're going to remake Final Fantasy 9, which I don't think will get caught in this. But like, you know, like the chuckle is, yeah, they're going to remake everything. It's unfortunate, but they're looking at ways to win and make money. So that's what we're going to do, which kind of sucks. Sean, what's the game that they could remake?
Don't get me started.
They are literally looking at money on the table. I will say though, I think this actually, them like being more selective and focusing on the allocation of development resources is possibly a way that we could get a Parasite Eve like remake or Parasite Eve something happening, because
so the issue with that is they have to get permission from the our author that the game was based off of. It was based off of a book, and they didn't like what they did with Parasite Eve 2, I believe. So that's what the holdup is ultimately.
Okay. Well, that might be a little hard.
So that artist basically never wants their shit adapted to another medium again, basically.
Dang. That was like what, 25 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, unfortunately.
They said never again. That is terrible.
It is.
Yeah, but like, Square Enix have things to look for, like Kingdom Hearts 4 and Dragon Quest 12. So, the bigger games like that won't be affected. Games like Foam Star, which was fine, decent, didn't do them much, didn't make much money, and it didn't review well at all. So like games like that, we probably won't be seeing going forward from Square Enix for a long time. But yeah, again, I feel like every article we end by saying we'll see. We'll see what happens. Also to note, we're definitely going to get the end of the Final Fantasy VII trilogy. Again, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is selling well. It's just not selling spectacular compared to other games that released in the same time period. So yes. So that was number 6. Number 7, Hasbro. What the hell was I saying? Hasbro ambitiously. Nope. What was okay? So basically, Hasbro is promising $100 billion to internal game development. This comes to us from IGN, by way of, geez, everything. Okay, Anthony Wood. So yeah, Hasbro is saying like, hey man, we're here for the game developers. We are going to invest with $100 billion into internal game development. And this is their quote: "Video games are an integral part of Hasbro's strategy going into the next 100 years." 100 years. This sounds very. I just had the word. I just had the studio. The studio that's getting split in Embracer. This sounds very Embracer to me, and it's kind of scary. So, essentially, what's happening here? Baldur's Gate 3, that was published by Hasbro. Hasbro owns Wizards of the Coast, which is D&D stuff, essentially. So Larian Studios, who made Baldur's Gate 3, has stepped back from Hasbro, has stepped back from D&D, and they're going to make their own thing. So now Hasbro has this super, super popular IP in Baldur's Gate, but they have no one to actually make the game. So now they are coming out saying that they are going to be investing $1 billion in internal studios, essentially trying to draw developers in to hopefully get one of them to actually make the next Baldur's Gate property. Essentially, and then, also probably build off of the Baldur's Gate brand by making other Baldur's Gate stuff or other like D&D stuff, which I think is good because D&D in itself is a pretty cool system to make games around, but you need a real strong story. And if you don't have that, then it's kind of just rolling dice for no reason. Yeah, do you have any thoughts on this?
No.
Yeah, I don't. It's one of those things where it's like, we'll see, but I don't even have faith in the whole we'll see of this. I think they're just trying to do what they can. Yeah. We'll see. I said it anyways. All right. Number 8. This is actually really interesting. Korea to focus on fostering console game industry over the next 5 years. This comes for us from the Culture Ministry, from Korea Time. This is the first time we've had a Korea Times article. There's no author to this.
I doubt you'd be able to pronounce it anyway.
Stinging but true. All right. So I'm just jumping within the article. Under the 5-year plan to promote the game industry, the Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism will work to expand the country's share in the global console game market by 2028, aiming to reduce its heavy dependence on online and mobile game platform. So, actually, no, they're going to talk about it. Korea has the 4th biggest game industry in the world in terms of sales, posting a combined revenue of 22.2 trillion won, which is $16.4 billion in
They're still 2022. Counting revenue from the pandemic.
COVID. Yes, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. That's money. Money came in there, so we gotta say it because it made us a whole lot of money. So this
is like the toilet paper industry just doubling down. Like, yo, we sold so much toilet paper in 2021. You know what we need to do? More toilet
Make
paper.
more toilet paper. Right?
Increase output by 100%.
Yeah, man. So like so that whole $16.04 billion was driven by the growth of online and mobile games. However, the country's shares in the global console gaming market is only 1.5%, which constitutes 28% of the entire industry, with mobile games accounting for 44%, according to the ministry. So, okay, also, more than 40% of gamers in North America and Europe play console games, and the ministry added. The government said it will help local companies cooperate with major global console game companies like Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo to develop blockbuster titles.
I mean, they can do it. Look at Stellar Blade.
Yep, I was going to point to that. So Stellar Blade is actually, ignoring the whole controversy about Eve essentially being like a sex doll kind of thing. The feat of them creating this console game that is doing very well is not ignored by the Korean government, in that like they, as this article says, they mainly make online and mobile games, and that's been the bulk of their marketing, or the bulk of their market. But now they're looking at the potential of jumping into the console industry, probably while keeping the mobile game thing going and making even more money. And it's one of those things where it's like they're saying this now, but we've actually seen a bunch of attempts from this. Like if you look back, like all those like kind of like, oh, where is this from trailer, where it's like, oh, this looks kind of like Japanese influence, but it's like, oh no, it's a little different because it was a Korean influence game. So yeah, like we're gonna see this stuff eventually, I guess. Like even looking back at those trailers, we don't really know what came of them. I think the Black Myth Wukong, I think that's coming out this year. I'm not remember if that's Korean made or not.
I think it's Chinese.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is Chinese. Yeah. But yeah, like it's it's cool to see them do this again. When the only thing that matters to me is that when you guys are actually building the games, you still need to be supporting developers. When you guys release the game, you still need to be supporting the developers. Even if it doesn't hit like the high mark, you still got to support the developer, because over time you will create great games. You can't just you can't create great games off the start. Like that's just how it works. And it's just, hopefully they understand that. So I hope the best for them. So the last little bit of news is the quick hits. Number 9. For its 3rd anniversary, Returnal devs Housemarque announces a new graphic novel and art book for the roguelike shooter. Sean, are you excited for this?
Yes, I will actually go check this out. Although,
awesome.
I wish I had more news about their next release.
Yeah, so this comes to us from GamesRadar. So yeah, this was a kind of a weird announcement because they
announced that they were going to have an announcement for one.
Yeah. So this was penned by William Salmon. No, we'll see.
It's salmon.
It's salmon, right? He might pronounce it differently. But so yeah, this is just a graphic novel that is set in the Returnal world that looks pretty cool. Yeah, as Sean said, like they made an announcement that they're going to have an announcement, and then it turned out that Dark Horse was part of the announcement, and they're like, oh, I guess it's going to be a comic or something, and it turned out to be a graphic novel, and it's just like, okay. It would have been better if Dark Horse made the announcement first. That way, we'd have all known, like, okay, this obviously
what
comic
to expect,
something.
Yeah.
I think at one point people were thinking like, oh, maybe there's going to be an announcement that they're going to show up in the PlayStation State of Play or showcase, whatever is supposed to be happening at the end of May. But no, that wasn't it. So yeah, we'll see if there is anything else in the Returnal future beyond this comic book. Number 10. Alan Wake 2 still hasn't. Oh, wait. What happened here? I don't know what just happened.
I don't know.
Okay. Still hasn't. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Alan Wake 2 still hasn't earned back its budget. This comes to us from Tech Radar by way. Oh, Tech Raptor. You're right. I'm so used to GamesRadar. By way of Joseph Allen. So, as the title suggests, Alan Wake 2, made by Remedy, has not made its money back. It's unfortunate. So it sold 100.3 million copies as last count, thus making it the fastest selling Remedy game. Wait, what? Has recouped a significant part of the development and marketing expense as of Q1. No, it has. Okay. I think there's a typo in this. So it has not recouped a significant part of the development and marketing expenses as of Q1 2024. Yeah. So
i.e. example, not the entirety of said expenses, basically.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I mean, that sucks. I think that just kind of gives us a clear example of selling 1 million copies doesn't really cut it anymore for a AAA
it can
single player game.
The issue is the budgets are just getting outrageous now. They did some new, I'm not going to call it tech, but I mean, with the mixing of live action directly in the game. Like, Alan Wake 1 was released when? You know what I mean? Like, you had to already be a fan of this. This isn't the only game that's selling numbers that's survival horror is Resident Evil.
Yep.
Maybe Silent Hill. Like, this is
we're gonna see with Silent Hill when they release.
Yeah, this is a niche genre. A sequel to a game that hadn't appeared in, I don't even remember when the first one came out. I never played it. They're I don't know. They just need to rein in production costs nowadays. Having access to all this power just means they throw more and more money at everything versus getting creative with limitations.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're totally right. Like, it is a thing of like, well, we can use extra money to make the faces look better versus keeping the faces looking very decent and just being, as you said, more creative with other things and like spending that time in other places and actually making the game, you know, more, not even more different, but like just making it more creative in other aspects.
It's an amazing game, but I just mean like developers don't have to work around graphical and memory limitations anymore. So
yeah,
the money is no object. Just get this game out.
Exactly. Yeah, man. It sucks though. Like that. It's really disheartening to see like a game that did that well. It was nominated for Game of the Year, I believe, in some other areas as well, and to see like they haven't been able to make their money back from building out Alan Wake 2. So that sucks. Number 11, solo dev behind roguelike hit Balatro expected to sell maybe 10 copies and goes back to their IT job, but they went on to sell 1 million copies instead. This comes to us from GamesRadar by way of Allie Jones. So yes, as that long title suggests, the developer thought they were only going to make, sell about 10 copies, but they sold a bit more than 10 copies.
So
go ahead.
The game is about $15, right? $14, $15.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much Steam takes, but we know PlayStation takes 30%. I don't know what Xbox and whatever takes, but god damn, that's like 15 million off back. Take off about what 30% of that. That's 10 million left over, and then he probably had to split a little something with the publisher because initially he was gonna put it out himself, but then is it Playmaker? Something like that.
I can find it.
Playdate Games. They approached him with a deal.
Okay.
Man doesn't have to really work again if he doesn't want to. He can just focus.
Oh, it's published by PlayStack.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you're totally right. Like,
even if they took another 30 or 50%, my man still has $4 to $5 million after. He took 2 years to develop this by himself.
Yep.
We need to make a game, DJ.
Right. And like that's the thing. Like this story is literally like the game the indie game developer dream. And like you have an idea, you spend your time, you spend your blood, sweat, and tears, you make this thing, and it succeeds. And it succeeds in a way that's just like beyond your own expectation. It's just like that is so cool. And that's awesome that like, this happened for this person, for the developer. And then the whole thing is always like, all right, well, what are you gonna do next? You're gonna make a sequel, you're gonna make another game, you're gonna make a bigger game. And it's just like, I really hope they like, polish Balatro to the point where it's fine. And then they have that freedom to just like figure out like, okay, well, what do I want to do now? Do I want to make another Balatro sequel, or do I want to do something completely different? Do I go back to my IT job? Just start on them.
He went from rags to riches, man. He just the best games come from just the most passionate people, just who made something. You know what's funny? Mm-hmm. This is similar to FromSoftware. They were making productivity software before they made their first game.
Hey, man.
Now look at them.
Right? All right. Number 12 in the last of our quick hits. Apex Legends is getting a solo mode for the first time in 5 years. This comes to us from Engadget by way of Chris Holt. So I actually, when I saw this title, I read it completely different. And I was like, wait, they're having like a single player mode thing? But it's not that. It's just, you want to take this?
So they did limited modes. So they have duos. Originally, they weren't going to put any solos or duos in the game. But they did do it with limited time events. So this isn't like a single player adventure mode. This is just solos Apex Legends.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason that they didn't want to do this is because a lot of the legends are built to assist your team. So
that makes sense.
It's not very conducive to. A lot of legends aren't conducive to just being on their own, unless you're just a monster. But you're not gonna pick those gimped characters.
That makes sense.
But I mean, I guess if you want to play without somebody calling you trash because you didn't, fucking clutch a 1v3, even though they died first, like I guess this is something for the people. They are also adding a new legend soon called Alter.
Oh, okay.
I guess she deals with portals. I haven't watched the stuff yet, but I'm gonna jump back into it. They're making a mechanic for solos called Battle Sense that gives you a audio and visual clue whenever a enemy is within 50 meters, and you'll heal passively when you're out of combat. So I don't know. We'll see.
That's interesting.
They had to do something to give the game a shot in the arm.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, I think the As a person who doesn't play Apex, but just
Yeah.
pays attention to news, I think having a solo mode is never really a bad thing.
Mhm.
Although, you know, saying that, also understanding that you want to make sure you direct your player base to certain modes, so there's never like I can't find a game now because no one's really playing this one specific mode, and like that's actually one of the problems
Oh. No,
we see
I just
crossplay.
saw another mechanic. So apparently, if you're eliminated within the first 4 rounds, you'll be able to use a one-time respawn token to rejoin the action. Any unused tokens after the fourth circle closes are converted to your shields and upgrade
Oh, cool.
abilities. So that puts some thought into this.
Yeah, that's actually not bad at all.
I'll jump back in because sometimes I
Yeah,
do want to play, like I just said, but I don't want people relying on me. Sometimes you want to be able to go hide in a corner while the baby's crying. You go change a diaper,
exactly right.
get to a
Right.
safe spot. So I can see the appeal in this. It may not reach the people that it should to bring more people in, but
Hmm.
if you're already playing it, then
Yeah.
cool.
You think they're gonna do a sequel?
Uh, I don't know if there's a need for a
Hmm.
sequel.
You think they'll just make a new game, or
There will be an entirely new game, but this is bringing in money for EA. It's still bringing in money
that's a good point.
as far as microtransactions, and I mean, like Fortnite, like Warzone. I know Warzone did a Warzone 2, but people like the original.
Yeah.
Did we even need a Warzone 2?
No.
I think they really just did that because they were shifting engines.
Yeah.
Um, Fortnite, I don't know. I
I'm
don't think
actually
we need an
thinking of the
Apex Legends
disaster of
sequel.
Overwatch in that,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I don't
yeah,
know. They didn't have an Overwatch League 2, so they're not. It's not quite the same thing, but I get you.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I don't see a need for a 2 when they're still exploring the lore. There's still a lot of lore because they're just
That's a good
drip
point
feeding
too.
it to us versus how they do with Overwatch.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So
All right. Well, that is it for the gaming news slash quick hits. Let us jump into the games we have been playing. Sean, what have you been playing?
only Balatro
Oh.
because it is a roguelike game. Um, and you can drop in and out of the game, and you
Hmm.
have the PlayStation sleep function as well as you can drop out of a run and jump back into it if you need to. So, um, I don't know, man. I've just been playing a lot of that because I've been
Yeah.
catching back up on my anime. So I watch Solo Leveling. I've caught up on Jujutsu Kaisen.
Hmm. Hmm.
Doctor Stone.
Oh,
You
Doctor
know,
Stone. Okay.
yeah. So I'm re-catching up on everything. So it's more of what I've been watching this week versus what I've been playing. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
That's
But
pretty cool.
Balatro. Mm.
Yeah. So as for me, I've actually been sort of watching anime. Like I've been watching Delicious in Dungeon on Netflix, and
I bet
like
you would.
all right. It's one of those things where it's like I can kind of get away with watching that around London while she's playing
Hey, you know
because
what you should watch around her? Food Wars.
no.
No, I'm joking.
I'll be getting calls from daycare like, why is your daughter doing this? She just likes chicken nuggets. I don't know. But yeah, like Delicious in Dungeon, if you don't know what it is, it's essentially like it's not an isekai, it's just people who live in this fantasy world. They go into dungeons, explore, there's like different classes. It's like a D&D kind of thing in a way, but the whole concept is they're broke and they don't have money to buy actual food. So the party leader's plan is to go into dungeon, kill the monsters, and just eat the monsters. And then they find this other person who's in the dungeons who just lives in the dungeons, and he just like essentially takes care of the dungeon in a way, but he's also like just crazy chef that just only specializes in monster like food and stuff, and he makes gourmet foods using the monsters. And it's like it's such an interesting concept, and it just also threw this other side plot in that's just like sort of the main storyline to this, but it's just like, oh, this is actually weaved really well within the whole story that they're telling. So it's been a good time. It's actually I've actually stopped playing like Dragon's Dogma to like watch an episode or whatever before I go to bed. So it's been pulling me. But yeah, I can only watch like one anime at a time because I'm also just trying to play games or whatever. But yeah, speaking of games, I beat Tales of Zenzera Zao, and I don't know if I can recommend that game. Like the the game is fine. This is this studio's first time making a game, and I understand that, and they wanted to make it challenging. But the last boss fight, the whole concept of it is so frustrating because it's just like this defeats the whole purpose of the whole story entirely. And then you fought the boss, and the boss has multiple forms where the boss gets his life bar back. It has an ability that is sort of cheap, sort of you're not really built to really deal with, sort of thing. Like I ended up like not necessarily cheesing the boss, but just doing a move repeatedly to like knock his health down to like just get through it because I was so over it at the time. Yeah, if you're playing Tales of Zanzaro, like or Kenzara, more power to you. If you're interested in that game, definitely check it out. Again, this is the studio's first game. I have faith that the next go around they'll get these criticisms and make a better version of this game if they're going to do a sequel or
I feel like it had a weird skill check very early in the game that didn't even have anything to do with combat, which was a weird jump that they had you make where there were spikes at the top and spikes at the bottom, and you have to double jump and dash. And
yes. Yeah.
Why is this like this?
Yeah, like there's checks like that in the game that some of them I was like, okay, this is interesting. I was just like, I don't know why you guys decided to do this at this point in time. Like, this is not necessary for the kind of game you're making or the kind of game you're trying to sell. Like, stop, just pause, just don't do all this. So that's that. The other game I've been playing was Stellar Blade. I last week said I was going to buy it. I completely forgot that I said I was going to buy it, and I ended up buying it like last night, and I just put time into it. It's probably been like closer to 2 than 3 hours. The reason why I said I was going to buy it was because they mentioned that they changed or they adjusted the parry windows and the like attack input delay kind of stuff. And that's stuff that I'm just super sensitive to. And I immediately noticed that my time playing the demo versus playing the actual game is different. Like I'm actually really enjoying this game. Okay. There are some weird bits where I feel like I'm losing momentum when I shouldn't lose momentum, and I think that's just how this game is built. Like if you're running up to a person and you want to do a jump attack, the Eve, the main character, she'll run, jump up in the air, and do attacks, but there's no momentum to carry her forward.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Sense. And it's just like that's weird. And then like there's times where I feel like maybe I just don't know what I'm supposed to do or haven't read the tutorial to know exactly what to do. But like there's times where I feel like I'm kind of stuck in place. The dodge doesn't move you very far, and there's kind of a
I think you level that up. The dodge.
I think so. Yeah. Like
I remember that is on the skill tree. I don't know.
Yeah. I like because like there is a lot of, like the skill tree is really fleshed out. There's a lot of stuff that you can upgrade and build towards. And like even now I upgraded the perfect parry window and the perfect dodge window. So now those happen it's a bit smoother. So the game is built for you to spend time with and upgrade Eve to build her out how you want her to be, essentially. So I think with that, I am coming from that game with a different perspective. And I fought one boss. I think, that's considered a boss. That was considered a boss. And it's one of those things where like normally when I play these kind of games, I kind of like min-maxing and finding like the best way of doing things and like trying to get good at the actual gameplay itself. I don't think I'm going to be doing that with this game just because it feels like maybe later on once I like upgrade the skill trees and stuff where like I'm able to like really flush out and figure out what I want to do. But like right now it's just powering through it. It's just killing the boss, getting through, getting to the next checkpoint, getting
So you're
through, and
not
like trying to
enjoying
get
it
those skills.
at all?
I'm enjoying it. I think the focus on parrying kind of ruined it for me in terms of like, oh, you have to parry this attack because your dodge is not going to be enough space to get away from this thing, and the boss just jumped to you immediately, and it's just like, all right, I'm probably just going to take damage from this and just keep moving. So there's still like parts like that where I'm just like, whatever. But yeah, overall, it's a good game. It's a hack and slash, just kind of Dark Souls-y sort of game. So at this point, if you don't know Stellar Blade, then you're fine not knowing it. But yeah, that's my time with it. I will be playing that further, of course. Yeah, that's it, right? That's it. We got nothing else. Yeah. All right. Well, this has been another episode of Press X Start Gamers Digest. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed making it. Don't forget, you can leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, wherever you feel like. Just let us know where you left that review so we can actually check it out and read it and share it with the rest of our friends and community, because it'd be cool if you did that. Hey, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell all the way over there, right there. Boom, hit the notification bell. And you just, be good. Have a good day. Keep playing video games. And we'll check you out next week when we have more stuff about Stellar Blade and possibly the release of a next big game that we didn't know was happening. Maybe an announcement for the PlayStation Showcase State of Play happening. I don't know.
See. Maybe another Kendrick Lamar disc will drop in there.
Yes, maybe another 3. just to make sure Drake is dead. Oh man. All right, y'all. Peace out.